Day 75 from Psalms 8 verse 2, which reads, "Out of the mouth of babies and infants, you have established strength because of your foes, to still the enemy and the avenger." Have you ever felt too weak, too small, or too overwhelmed to make a difference? Psalms 8 flips our idea of strength on its head. It tells us that God has ordained strength through the mouth of infants, the weakest, most defenseless humans, and He has done this because of His enemies, to silence them. This verse sits in a psalm that marvels at the majesty of creation and the seeming insignificance of mankind. But in that contrast, we find a divine pattern. God responds to pride and opposition not with displays of brute power, but through surprising, humble vessels. Even the praise of a child carries the weight to silence an avenger. In the book of Psalms, God's enemies are often loud, full of threats, injustice, and rebellion. But in this verse, God shows that His counterattack isn't always thunder and fire. Sometimes it's a whisper of praise from a humble mouth. He's saying, "Watch what I do with weakness." And that's a theme woven throughout the Psalms. God's strength is made known in our weakness, not just to defend us, but to shut down the schemes of the enemy. So, 3 practical applications. Number 1, let your praise be your protest. When the enemy tries to discourage you or accuse you, respond with praise. You may not have all the answers, but your praise has spiritual power. The Psalms teach us that worship is not passive, it's warfare. Why not begin each morning with praise, even when you don't feel strong? You're joining the chorus that silences the enemy. Number 2, don't disqualify yourself. You may think that you're too broken, too new in the faith, or too quiet to matter. But Psalms 8:2 shows that God intentionally uses the small, the unnoticed, and the weak. If babies can be vessels of strength, so can you. Identify one area you've been undervaluing in yourself. Offer it to God today and ask Him to use it, even if it's small. And lastly, number 3, raise the voices of the humble. Psalms 8 isn't just about individuals, it's a vision of how God works in the world. As believers, we're called to amplify the voices of those the world ignores. Children, the poor, the quiet-hearted. Encourage someone this week who feels overlooked. Maybe your child or a new believer or someone who rarely speaks up. Remind them that God values their voice. Ultimately, Jesus embodies this psalm. When He entered Jerusalem and the children cried out, "Hosanna to the Son of David," the religious leaders were offended. But Jesus quoted this exact verse, "Out of the mouth of infants and nursing babies, you have prepared praise." Matthew 21 verse 16. He was showing us that true strength doesn't come through status or force. It comes through surrender, praise, and faith. Christ silenced the greatest enemy, sin and death, not with military power, but with humility, obedience, and the cross. So, today, if you feel small and overlooked or weak, remember your voice matters. Your praise has power, and your God is majestic. And in Christ, even the weakest whisper of worship can silence the loudest enemy.